These are the best days of our lives. Raise your glasses high. This one's for you tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 20 of the SUR Files. It's yours truly, the nefarious one, Brother Adam, aka Joshie Lopez, coming to you from the great city of Chicago, Illinois. It's Friday, July 31st, 2026, as I'm recording this bad boy, and we have a lot to discuss on this week's show. First and foremost, I want to say I hope you guys are in good spirits. Hope you guys are taking care of your mentals and keeping your spirits up. No matter where you are in life, wherever you're listening to this podcast, I deeply appreciate the opportunity and the platform and the fact that you guys taking the chance to listen to our show or check out the podcast on YouTube at the SUR Files. By the way, make sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button as we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. We do appreciate the support on YouTube, and I'm not charging you anything. All you have to do is press two buttons, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. It's that simple. But as we're talking about plugs, as always, don't forget the new episodes of the SUR Files drops each and every single Friday, anywhere you get your podcast from. I am Josh Lopez. You can follow me on X at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Josh Lopez Music, and probably the most important thing for you guys to check out for us with the SUR Files besides our podcast, which you get free and charge anywhere you get your podcast from in the home of the SUR Files, is Odyssey. So we appreciate those folks for having us on their platform. The most important place to follow us right now is on TikTok, our ever-growing TikTok page. We're getting close to 14,000 followers and almost 1.5 million likes on TikTok. We're doing very well. I'm very grateful for all of you who have taken the time to support that end of this project. It's exceeding my expectations each and every single week, and the number of notifications is just so difficult to do. If I had the option and the ability to follow everybody that's following us back on the page on TikTok, I would. I deeply am humbled and grateful for the support that you guys have been giving this project, whether it's on here on the podcast or on the TikTok page. Obviously, you guys see the thumbnail. You know what I'm going to talk about today. We have a lot to discuss, and we have a lot of ground to cover. Over the next, I'd say, month or two, I had to ponder how I'm going to go about formatting the show and how I'm going to go about talking about things on the podcast, because obviously starting next week, it's part one of the three-part, not Vanderpump, but the Valley Season 3 reunion. So we're getting three parts. So obviously for the next 3 weeks, I will be reviewing each part of the reunion. And the reunion trailer dropped for the Valley the other day, and I checked it out, and I'm excited. I'm sure plenty of other people are excited. Obviously, this season of the Valley has been very controversial for many different reasons, and it's been a lot of debates. I've seen the notifications and debates and arguments and soliloquies I see in the comment section on TikTok. This season has struck a nerve for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, and I think more times than not, justifiably so. When I saw the reunion trailer, I just threw up this thought in my head and just like, I know there's some random comment about Seth Rogen, and he responded, whatever, this the throwaway line. I'm not gonna let that be a whole takeaway from a trailer, but I can't tell you how excited I am to see Lacey Nicole on this reunion. Lacey is just a dope person. She really is. She doesn't take shit from anybody. She's not gonna be talked down to like she's a little girl. You're not gonna slander her name. She has receipts, and unlike other people in the cast, she backs up and stays true to her words and her actions. And I can't wait to see her rip Michelle a new one. And this is very unfortunate for me to say because I don't like tearing down people, especially women. And I say just in general, like, I don't have any personal issues with Michelle to say. Like, I don't know her on that level. I don't take this reality TV stuff too seriously. It's not that deep. But what I don't appreciate, I don't care if it's entertainment, I don't care if it's real life, I do not like two-faced attitudes. And unfortunately, you know, we had this very sweet moment with her and Jesse last week, and we talked about this very emotional conversation about putting an end to the divorce. And even then on the after show for that week, and then the after show this week, and obviously there was a bit of debate on. I'll talk about once I review the episode itself. But this whole season, especially the after show, especially, I don't like how immature Michelle has come off, and how this. Cold is not even the best way to describe it. She's just very immature, doesn't read the room. And I think that Lala and Janet feeds a lot of her opinions. I think that, she's admitted that she can't speak up for herself in certain situations, so she'll just think about what Janet or Lala is saying in the situation to save face. And I think in a lot of ways, she's been trying to escape by criticism from the audience because she's more fixated on trying to make Jesse look bad. And unfortunately, I think, and it's going to show its ugly head on the reunion coming up next week, that, she's going to be called out for her shit. And I don't think it's just going to be Jesse and Lacey, having these arguments with her. But I think we're going to have to address the elephant in the room with her and Jasmine, because that's been something that's been brewing on all the way from the beginning part of the season, where they had that argument at Danny's and Nia's cowboy get together at Booko Mountain. So there's a lot to discuss on the reunion, and I'm very excited to watch it. Obviously, Daniel and I think Luke, in some ways, are going to be in the hot seat. Reunions bring out a lot of great vintage Kristen from VPR energy, so that's always an interesting dynamic to see. And you know what? Just like Michelle, I'm ready for Brittany to start being pestered with some serious questions, because while she played the Ariana Maddox role very well on the season 2 reunion last year, and I understood why, and she held her ground, and she had her sharp wit cheap shots directed towards Jax. It's going to be a very different energy for this reunion, because now she feels like, she even said it in the trailer, oh, I'm so angry at so many people. So when Brittany's going to hear something that she doesn't want to hear, or she's not going to like, because she has this bubble mentality where she could put a front on and act like her shit don't stink sometimes. And as much as I like Brittany, and I think she's a great person and an amazing mother, and I think there's a good aspect to her being a good, genuine person, there's other aspects where, kind of like Michelle, she's kind of two-faced. And I've been documenting it all season long about, especially the way she talks behind Nia's back and how defensive she is when Zach or Kristen point out the fact that she doesn't like Nia. Just be upfront about it. And that's the great thing about these reunions. And I'm sure Andy's going to call out the questions that need to be called out. I hope they address this whole high school mean girl, cliquish attitude that's going on with Janet, Michelle, Brittany, and Lala. I hope that's addressed. Obviously, we're going to figure out the question's going to go, I think, mostly directed towards Daniel. I hope Nia has a chance to speak for herself, because I feel like in a lot of ways, she's been highly, highly mistreated on a human level on this show, and especially this season. And I'm going to be talking about that during my review of the Valley's season finale today. And then, you know, obviously the stuff with Kristen and Luke has to be addressed, because that was a big storyline for this season, was their relationship dynamic, you know, seeming to tread downwards, you know, in postpartum, and that has to be addressed. And, you know, I don't know what Schwartz is going to bring to the table. He kind of quivers in, you know, high tense situations. I mean, you could even look back at that season 10 reunion for Vanderpump Rules. Like, he took Xanax. He was just out of it. You guys also have to remember he was shooting Winter House at the same time, and I remember they had this whole thing where he had to leave the Winter House early to go film Vanderpump Rules, then come back. I don't know about you. This quick sidebar. Like, I think that Schwartz and Katie Floody would have been a good couple in a good relationship. I don't know. Those two meshed well with each other. I don't know why that didn't go further, but that's just me. By the way, I'm happy for Schwartz in his relationship with Kiki and Kiana, so I'm glad that things are going well for the two of them. Speaking of Schwartz and the TikTok page and everything, Schwartz was on Sheena's Shenanigans podcast as a guest last week, and I thought both of them had very good conversation. Looks like at this stage of life where Schwartz and Sheena are getting in a better place, it looks like Schwartz is really becoming like good, like brotherly vibes with Jason Caperna. I don't know how that affects things going forward. I know like there's like a joking banter between Schwartz and Jesse. I don't know if it's something where Schwartz is going to be Team Janet against Danny and Nia. Like, I don't know how this is all going to play out in season 4. All I could ask as somebody who's taking the time to cover this show every single week is that when we get to the reunion, everything that I've brought up on here on the podcast, and then the initial reviews that I do for each episode after it goes off the air, I hope the things that I pointed out about the two-faced attitude with some of the girls in the cast, I hope that there is some type of resolution or a way to move forward with this whole Danny drinking situation. I'm sure there's going to be times where this reunion gets very uncomfortable, as most reunions are, especially when it comes to this Vanderpump world and echo chamber, because guys, you know what this is. This is the SUR Files. Like, this is a Vanderpump Rules project. The Valley is basically a spin-off of Vanderpump Rules. So we're in this echo chamber, this orbit of Vanderpump Rules. And you know, with these type of reunions, you're going to have uncomfortable moments. You're going to hear things that are probably going to upset you at certain moments. And look, these people are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not expecting anybody to be perfect on these shows. I do think people need to be held accountable. I think Lala needs to be held accountable for being a pot stirrer and not bring anything to the table this season outside of just being Janet's prosecutor, since Jason was sitting at home most of the season. I have a level of grace and empathy that I feel towards Janet. I think what you'll hear on today's podcast may say otherwise, but again, as I do these recaps of the Valley here on the podcast, I hope you guys understand the fact that I'm talking about what I'm seeing on TV. I understand this was taped 9 months ago, literally 9 months ago. This episode, the season finale of The Valley for season 3, was taped on Halloween of last year, and they were also celebrating early of Michelle's birthday. So think about that. So one more thing I want to address here before we get into the review, as we usually do here on the podcast. I had some moments to myself this week, to get in deep thought about where I am in my life right now. And I've been very busy this week handling some business, some internal professional business on my own. But I can't, I come in here every week and I express how grateful I am for the support that you guys have been giving this project. I really don't think you guys realize how much this project has meant to me and the positive feedback that the podcast and the TikTok page has been getting. It really means a lot to me, because for those who don't know, who are maybe listening to this for the first time, I'm a seasoned freelance professional broadcaster, and I've been a professional broadcaster since 2014. And I've been doing podcasting since 2013. And there was a part of me before I moved to Florida last year where I felt like I was coming to an end of just recording podcasting in general. I would still do my transcripts, which is my real job, where I cover wrestling shows for a living. So I do transcriptions and stenography for live televised wrestling shows and premium live events like SummerSlam, which is taking place this weekend in Minneapolis. But I was getting into closing a chapter of a project that meant everything to me and something I pride myself in, called the Hoots podcast, which was my wrestling podcast that I did for 10 years. And I did every single episode for 10 years. We had multiple changes with co-hosts over the years. And we experienced a lot of great highs and a lot of great opportunities. And we did 10 years, 500 episodes, literally 500 episodes. And we were able to reach over 3 million downloads in a 10-year span. And a lot of that came towards the back end of that experience in the project. And when I knew that I was going to end the Hoots podcast and stop talking about wrestling, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I was really contemplating just stopping recording podcasting in general. If an opportunity came where I would work at a local radio station, or somebody was hiring a producer or something like that, or hiring somebody to record podcasts or whatever, or I would join a panel show or something like that. I was weighing all my different options, and there was also a big part of me that felt like I had nothing else to say. And I think that's a hard thing to admit sometimes as a content creator, because sometimes, unfortunately, you let your personal life get in the way of how you see yourself. And this is the opportunity for me to express, hey, this is a really cool, down-to-earth guy, has no kids, not married. I take care of my shit. I take care of myself. I'm independent. I just turned 32 years old 3 months ago. I feel like I still have the world in front of me at this point, and I feel like the best is yet to come. I'm a very chilled, down-to-earth guy. I don't consider myself to try to be messy or, try to do or say things for attention. I'm not a cloud chaser. What really hurts as a content creator and somebody who's been doing this for over 10 years is that, this became a very positive mental escape for me, podcasting and doing podcasts like this. I struggle with self-doubt, and that's my internal plague. That's my demon. It's what hurts me the most. I think Kristen said on the confessional this week. No, she said on the after show that she could be her worst enemy, and I feel that way about myself. Like, I feel like I could be my own worst enemy. Like but there's nothing anybody can say about me that I haven't already said about myself. I struggle with self-doubt, and I want to get emotional here, but I've been dealing with a lot of transition in my life in the last 3 to 4 years, and I've dealt with a lot of uncertainty and a lot of questioning myself and not knowing what my purpose was to myself, my purpose in this space of media and wrestling and just life. I was lacking a sense of purpose when I knew that I was going to end this chapter of the Hoots podcast. And, you know, you start questioning yourself because you feel like you put in a lot of work, a lot of hard work and grinding. I really have a grinding mentality in how I go about my work. And I get laser focused on certain projects and I give it my all. As you guys can see, I'm really trying my best to make this TikTok page blow up and be one of the best TikTok pages out there for Bravo and just in general. And I want this project to succeed because I think the concept in itself is awesome. Not only can we bring back all these cool scenes from the past of Vanderpump Rules or the Valley and showcases on TikTok in real time for people who may be watching these shows for the first time in this moment, and even for a great opportunity for nostalgia for people who are missing VBR. You guys could go to the SUR Files on TikTok and reminisce on some of your favorite moments. And, you know, the concept of this page of, you know, showcasing the history of the show while also sharing some receipts and then also covering shows as it's happening real time. I just did an entire season of The Valley. We got 3 more pieces left with this reunion, but I've dedicated since April 1st, so all of April, May, June, and July, full 4 months of my life covering this show, The Valley. And I tell you what, I haven't had this sense of gratitude, purpose, drive, and just internal just happiness and peace in my life when it comes to my professional life and especially when it comes to doing something like this. I feel like a lot of my hard work is starting to pay off. Not everything's perfect. I'm not where I want to be in my life. Obviously, I have big aspirations for myself, and I'm not content with being a robot and just, you know, just settling for a regular 9-to-5 thing and, you know, not going after my dreams. I'm not wired that way, and that's not what I want out for my life. And I was missing a sense of purpose. You know, a lot of things didn't work out my way in Florida that I thought I was going to. I took this big chance to live on my own for the first time out of Chicago, and I'm fucking proud of what I did down there. I don't care that I got rejected a gazillion times and did over 20 interviews down there and things didn't work out. And, you know, yeah, it's a sucky feeling to feel like, hey, you know, you put all this time to save money to start this next chapter of your life. I literally thought I was going to be able to fully, you know, start this next chapter of my life. But again, having this thought and this cloud of self-doubt, you struggle with that sometimes. And I feel like, you know, there was times where it got really dark for me mentally. Especially the last 2 to 3 months I was in Florida, it got really dark for me mentally, and I was starting becoming numb to the disappointment, the frustration, and things like that. And the only thing that's been keeping me happy and motivated to keep pushing forward is this project. I really hope you guys realize how much this show and this project is meant to me. And I hope you guys recognize the work that I'm putting into it, because it means a lot to me. I'm trying something different. Who knows where this podcast or this project as a whole can take me. But fuck it, I'm going to give this a chance. I know one day a door will open for me, and I feel like, you know, you got to pay your dues and eat shit along the way in this journey of life. But in a moment in my life in the beginning this year where I thought I was going to be done with podcasting and nobody gave a fuck about what I had to say, and I was battling with the demons within myself of wondering if do I care about anything I had to say to myself? Like, You have all these eternal self-doubt wars that you deal with yourself sometimes, and it could get the best out of you and it could get the worst out of you. But at the end of the day, I'm so glad that I went through with this and doing this project and seeing where we are now as we're heading into August. I can't explain enough how much gratitude I have for having this, because if I didn't have this right now, I would not be in a good place. And yeah. So what a way to transition into our Valley review, but it's that time. Folks, it's time to talk about episode 18, the season 3 finale of The Valley. It's called The Valley of the Damned, and I feel damned for watching it the other night. Let's talk about it. Let's do our technical last review of The Valley season 3. Let's hit it. I'm all right. Welcome back, everybody, to the SUR Files. This is episode 20. Can you guys believe it? 20 episodes already? It's awesome. I just did 500 wrestling episodes of a podcast. I don't know if the SUR Files is going to be here for 10 years, but we're going to have fun doing this project while we can. Obviously, the next couple of months will be interesting as I start implementing my thoughts about House of Saucy and things of that matter. And obviously, I don't have a set date yet, but we are going to be doing a rewatch of Vanderpump Rules all the way from the beginning and all the way to that part 3 season 11 reunion. Here we are. It's the Valley season 3 finale. I mix up finale and the Valley and finale with Jesse Lally. It could be a tongue tie twister, you know. It's a tongue twister for sure. But this episode is called The Valley of the Damned and The Valley of the Damned. Damn it, Josh. This is what happens when you start recording a podcast past midnight. But fuck it. We're talking about reality television. This is off the cuff, and this is raw, authentic audio, folks. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me know in the comment section down below how you felt about this season, The Valley as a whole, and who stood out the most to you, and what are you looking forward to with the reunion. So hit us up in the comment section, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So before we get into the Halloween of it all, this was a Brittany Cartwright production. As I said before, she's a great interior designer when it comes to like coming up with themes, concept for theme parties. The way she had this roll out for this Victorian vampire masquerade party that she had for Halloween and Michelle's birthday looked awesome. I thought it looked awesome when they had the pictures out on Instagram about a year ago, and I was really looking forward to it, knowing that this was going to be the last episode of this season. Honestly, I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time. And I'll start with this. And usually when you have a season finale or a series finale, you have this question in your head, right? Was it... It's usually two things. Did it leave you wanting more? And did it fully contextualize everything that you just sat through for 4 months? And once I saw Janet throw the drink at Danny And we're getting into those final shots where Danny and Nia are leaving Brittany's house. And everything was trying to be kumbaya with Michelle, and they're singing happy birthday to her. I'm not going to lie with you, and I think some of you felt the vibe from my initial takeaways when I did that review the other night. I was not in a good mood. I was not. There was a lot about this episode and this season finale that did not sit right with me on a human level. It's been harboring things that I've been talking about on here ad nauseum, unfortunately. And I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, I had to call the spade a spade. Lala Kent and season finales on Bravo are just a bad combination. And I'm throwing Janet in there, and I'm throwing Michelle in it too. And I felt in a lot of ways, especially these last 2 episodes, it was giving a lot of self-producing, a lot of pre-planned ambushing, and bringing things up that you knew that was going to set things off going on. And I'll never come in here and say that these people are writing scripts. You know, if I really thought that these people were actors, some of these people would be nominated for Oscars and fucking Emmys if I thought this wasn't real. I feel like this was a lot of self-producing. And I'm not even going to blame Alice Baskin or Jeremiah or the production team to say that they're behind some of the stuff that we saw in this finale for this season. Just a couple examples, just so you can follow along with what I'm trying to convey here. When you saw Jason with his crutches, by the way, that random ass part of the party where he starts feeling himself against a random girl who he thought was his wife. Yeah, he was sober, but here you got a guy in crutches gonna sit on a soapbox and spend 2 years of his life trying to make Daniel Booko look like the worst human on God's green earth. Yeah, you're feeling up on the woman. Yeah, he admitted at the moment at that time, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." It's not a good look, especially when it's on television. And then for that to happen, and then him start with his crutches, going to the patio area where he sees Danny by himself. The moment Jason put those crutches inside and had his legs stretched out on that couch, and I saw Janet talking to Lala, I saw a mile away what was going to happen. Because we've been seeing it all season long. Lala and Janet ambushing. Pot stirring when you don't need to pot stir. You have these moments where, yeah, we're at a party. It's an adult party. It's Halloween. People are going to drink. You choose the moment when somebody's down to make yourself look better. How's that productive? I saw the ambush coming a mile away. And, you know, I have not condoned anything that Daniel has done this season, especially the way he speaks to his wife. I'll tell you what, and this may be a controversial opinion, I thought Daniel, for the most part, carried himself in a good manner on this episode. And I kind of felt for him in that moment. I'm not going to lie. As much criticism, and justifiably so, has been directed towards Daniel Booko this season, we are human, and I've said this before, and I'm not making an excuse for his behavior. What I'm saying is two things can be true. Yes, you need to hold people accountable for their bad attitudes and their bad behaviors. I'm not denying that. I don't condone how he's acted for the majority of this season, and he's going to be rightfully grilled at the reunion. I'm throwing that out there. At the same time, we are getting to a point where you're not trying to resolve things. You are pushing a narrative that's going farther and farther to the point where there is no resolution. And you guys are going to hear it later on when I share the clip from this week's after show. I don't care how Janet feels about Danny and vice versa. I don't care if you're on Team Janet, and I don't care if you're on Team Danny and Nia. I really don't. We're talking about on a human level. When you're getting constantly attacked for your character, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much pride you think you have. You are going to get to the point where you're going to say something you regret, and you're going to get to the point where you're about to snap. And while Lala could put a front on in that whole season, Lala could put a front on in that reunion trailer that dropped the other day. Oh, Daniel, did you see him on the last episode? He could barely string a sentence together. Yeah, he got a little buzz. I felt, for the most part, given how things were going on in San Diego, in Mexico, what we saw on Wednesday night on Bravo TV that I watched. By the way, I don't know why it was just only an hour long. I don't know what was the rush for this. This is the season finale. Like, why are we only doing this for an hour long? But that was a weird decision. Anyways, I thought for the most part, especially going into that confrontation with Janet before the episode ended, I thought for the most part Daniel was reserved. And Jason, it's like two levels of an ambush. Jason's going there to get quote unquote clarity of what's going on while he was sitting at home, and while he's not been around the friend group for a lot of these cast trips. So, time to clue in Mr. Never Do Nothing Wrong. And he's twisting Daniel's words. They even tried to show the flashback when Daniel and Nia were having that argument with Lala in Mexico. Jason is telling Danny, like, hey, dude, like, you're saying that basically Lala should go back to her miserable life or go find a husband or whatever and things like that. And you're taking words out of context. And that's the unfortunate thing. I think Jason and Janet, on a human level and from a genuine point of view, I think they're good human beings. I think they're good people. I think there'd be people that I would want to hang out and have a good conversation with. But just like Kristen said, and she could deny it as much as she wants, and she could be doubling down as much as she wants. When you are throwing out words and character assassinating someone and trying to defame them on worldwide television and saying that you're throwing out a narrative that Daniel is an alcoholic, he is a sexual abuser, that you threw that out willy-nilly on season 2. And you knew what was going to you know that he's going to have his guards up and be defensive because you're not looking for any resolution. Okay, here's the season finale. Here's my redemption arc. Everybody's on my side. People are understanding what I'm going through. Me and Lala got our asses roasted at our last 2 reunions. So we're going to band together. It's the season finale. Let's ambush this guy like we've been doing all last 17 fucking episodes of this season. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to ambush the fucking guy. And then, you know what? He's going to expose himself and we're going to be vindicated at the reunion. And that is the whole game plan right there on a silver platter, as Lala said in her confessional. Oh, yeah, she could say that she doesn't agree with Janet throwing a drink at him. But you don't hear her say that, oh, her and Janet were coming up with the idea to ambush Danny while he's sitting down in his thoughts. Yeah, what he said to Lala about finding a husband, if that's the worst thing to be said to Lala, given the arguments that she's been having on television for the last 10, 12 years, like, I think it's not that deep. It's really not. Yeah, Danny was even trying to apologize to Lala for that moment. And then Janet has to chirp in. And again, it's a pre-ambush attack. It's a 3 people against 1. You're cornered. You're trying to have some peace. You're trying to mind your own business. You already don't feel welcome at this party. The person who's hosting this party has spent an entire season talking shit behind your wife's back. The whole friend group has talked nonstop for 2 seasons about your issues and your attitude when it comes to you consuming alcohol. I mean, at some point, like, I don't care how much you hate Danny, but at the same time, the guy's a fucking human being. And the same thing with Nia. I'm going to get back to the Janet throwing a drink at Daniel's face because there's more that I have to say about it. But let's rewind back a little bit to the beginning part of this episode where Lala had a sit-down conversation with Nia, and baby Adelaide was there with her. And I've been saying this whole season, why can't Lala and Brittany have a one-on-one conversation with Nia if you guys have so much of an issue with her? And what I don't like about this season, and I'll say this up front, that I think the vulnerability that Nia and Kristen have displayed on this show, and this season specifically, deserves to be applauded and recognized, and just it's commendable. Seriously, it really is. I feel so bad for her, for how she's been treated, talked about in interviews, on podcasts, the comments that I see, and the videos that I share. The fact that now people are going to character assassinate her because she appeared on a Fox News program. If Nia's a Republican, who gives a fuck? I hate to be blunt about it, but I'm going to say it. Who gives a shit? Do I care who Janet or Zack or anybody else in that cast votes for? No. 1, it's none of my business. And 2, that has nothing to do with the television show I'm watching. I know we're still in this society where we have to have a stance of, oh, you're on the wrong side of history if you're a Trump supporter, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm not for either side of the political party. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. They're both full of shit in their own manner. Regardless of that, saying, like, they try to find these different things to bring down Nia, and at the root of it is that you just don't like her husband. So while Lala and Brittany like to take their pot shots at Nia for her pageant background, you know, Nia goes to the party and she's complimenting on how great Brittany looks, and then Brittany does her condescending jokes saying, oh, look at me, am I Miss USA? But we're going to sit here with a straight face. It's you're going to tell us, the audience, that Brittany doesn't have issues with Nia. I'm not going to come in here and say that Brittany is jealous of Nia or anything like that, but there's a lot of ground to cover here with this whole Nia of it all. And I felt really bad for the both of them as they were leaving that party. Again, I don't condone the way he talks to his wife. I do think he has an attitude problem, and he acts like a little diva sometimes when he starts drinking. Outside of that, these people are good people. They're great parents. They have a great situation with 4 kids. And the fact that you want to knock on them for their faith, who they vote for, and the fact that Nia doesn't want to air their dirty laundry like Brittany does on worldwide television, it's just beyond me. So we had this get together finally with Lala and Nia, and Nia's explaining her story to Lala, and they're trying to find a ground where they can become friends. And Lala saying like, I'm glad that we're doing this, and I'm glad we're having this opportunity to speak one-on-one. I've been saying it for all season that this should happen. Why is it we haven't had a legitimate one-on-one conversation with Brittany and Nia? Why couldn't Nia go to Brittany's house, or vice versa? Brittany go, on the weekend where Jax is watching Cruzy, and, Brittany could go out to Santa Clarita and have a conversation with Nia, or they meet at a certain location where they have a one-on-one conversation like Lala had with her earlier in the show. I want to give these people the benefit of the doubt. I don't have anything personal against Lala Kent. You hear me being critical about her and Janet. Yes, I am. And I am holding people accountable because I'm seeing things on television, and what they say on this after show is two different things. They think that they do absolutely nothing wrong and that their shit don't stink. And they can say whatever they want to whatever people, and they'll still act like they're the victims in a lot of these situations. And again, I had to call a spade. I'm not going to put a blind eye to the fact that both of them, and their only storyline this season, is that, hey, we got roasted by Bravo fans at their prospective reunions. So here's our opportunity to flip the script and make Danny the worst person out of everybody on this show. And that's really what it was in a nutshell. Yeah, you're having this one-on-one conversation with Nia. And even then, in the confessionals during this conversation, Lala is still second-guessing her. And then we fast forward to the party. And this whole thing about, Kristen blurted out last week at this mommy makeover photo shoot that Brittany had, that, Nia jokingly guilt trips Zack here and there. Lala and Brittany flip the whole script and take it as Nia is verbally and intentionally trying to make Zack feel bad for the moments where he's trying to rebuild and rekindle his friendship with Janet. And this is the high school behavior that I'm talking about. This cattiness, where we're going to twist words. We're not listening to what people say, and we're going to find the littlest thing. Oh, see, that validates my opinion on this person. That validates my opinion on that person. And then it hits his ugly head. We get to the party, and we're all in Brittany's kitchen, and Nia's talking to Zack. Because before that, Zack was cornered by the Mean Girls Club. That's the thing with them. Every time there's a drama or conflict during the season, there's 3 of the Mean Girls Club against the person they're talking shit to at that moment. It's happened with Danny, it's happened with Jesse, and it's happened with Zack. And they had this whole thing about Chili's last week, and where, Janet's like, what's up, Zack? Are we getting better or are we not? And again, I could be critical of Janet, but also I can understand her to a certain extent where you feel like you're building ground and you're trying to renew a friendship with someone, and then you hear that they're still talking smack about you. Yeah, I can understand that. That could be very frustrating, and I understood Janet in that moment why she was upset with Zack. I totally get that. I'm gonna be fair to Janet there. I think she had every right to be upset about that in that moment, because I would feel the same way too. And a lot with this, where I've been trying to, give Janet the benefit of the doubt, and give her grace. And obviously she shared that very horrible story that she went through and experienced during the Mexico trip. And like I said earlier, I think if I met Janet in person, I probably would get along with her. Cattiness and high school pot stirring aside, I do think that Janet Caperna is a good person. So I want to throw that out there. I'm being very critical about her and Lala, but I think it's justified because you're not having these conversations to find resolution. You're having these conversations to further a narrative, and you don't generally care about the person that you're dealing with in that drama in the first place. So we get to Zack, and this whole conversation with Janet, it spews into the kitchen, and Zack is like, no, if anything, I'm the one that would manipulate people to look at the same ways at things that I look at. And he openly admits that, and he even said it in the after show. If anybody's going to manipulate anybody in the cast, it was going to be Zack. So Kristen comes in. By the way, they all looked great with their outfits. I thought they definitely rolled out the red carpet for that Halloween party. They all looked fantastic, especially Lala. Lala looks fucking hot in her vampire outfit. She looked tremendous. Something with her with black and red always looks good, but that's just me there. Anyways, so we get to the kitchen, and they're, Kristen, Nia, and Zack are talking about this whole guilt tripping comment accusations they're going on. Out comes Brittany, and Zack is like, because Kristen's like, why are you still talking about this? And you're taking my words out of context. Kristen even said it in the confessional this week. Like, hey, like, I said in a joking manner, maybe it was the wrong choice of words. Like, that hasn't happened before in a friend group. Like, come on, guys. Like, I've been seeing a lot of comments and negative comments towards Kristen this week about how she's a flip-flopper, and she's only saying it because people in the comment section hate Danny and Nia this season. Oh, trouble in paradise for Kristen and Nia. Are they still in good terms? Because she revealed on Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast that she had a conversation with Daniel on the phone and that she doesn't commend his behavior on the season and that she's not going to be ride or die for him on the reunion. Like, again, two things can be true. You don't have to condone somebody's behavior, but you're not going to say that you don't care about that person and their well-being going forward. How many times has Kristen taken up for Jax over the years, even before both of them left Vanderpump Rules? Or even before Jax left the Valley? Still, even then, she's still trying to find the good in the guy. Anyways, I had to get that off my chest. But, Kristen is telling Brittany, you're taking my words out of context. And Brittany's starting to get flabbergasted. And Zach's like, I believe Kristen. I think she's in the right in this situation. And Brittany, you think like her world is crashing down because her two close friends are disagreeing with the fact that she's pot stirring. And literally, she just can't admit to Nia to her face that A, she doesn't like her, and B, that they had this whole sit down. You guys remember this season 2 after that trip in Santa Barbara where they're all arguing with each other and they're pointing out that, oh, Nia doesn't share enough for the cameras. Oh, Nia's hiding things. Oh, Nia and Danny are fake. All this bullshit. And they had this conversation where, she's expressing to people, like, if you have an issue with me, say it to my face. Why are you talking behind people's back like that? Again, before anybody comments and says, come on, Josh, you must really not know how reality television works. I get it. People talk shit all the time. I get it. But if you're going to do that and you're going to do that in confessionals, you better have that same energy to somebody when you see them at parties or when it's brought up at a reunion. I know how reality television works. I'm not naive. I'm not stupid. I've watched all of Vanderpump Rules. They all talk shit behind people's back. My point is, if you're going to do that, at least have the decency to have that same energy to that person in real time when you're doing that, or on the reunion when that topic's brought up. And when we see the reunion the next 3 weeks, I hope that's addressed, because Brittany can no longer deny that she doesn't like. She can no longer deny the fact that she claims that she doesn't talk shit about Nia, because that's not the truth. She does. And she's seeing the confessional, I've known Zack for 18 years and I don't know who this guy is anymore. And she's getting emotional about it on the after show. Well, Brittany, you are a good person, but at the same time, you like to pot stir. You like to talk shit behind people's back. You're not completely innocent. So for her to question Kristen as to why she's so ride or die for Nia, it's an issue for Kristen, but you want Zack and Kristen to ride or die for you, which they have a long time. I believe Kristen was one of the first people on VPR who accepted Brittany for who she was, and they've been besties for a very long time. And I hate that this is the representation of Brittany this season, because we have to deal with that weird wombat looking motherfucker Brandon on the show, the guy that ended up being a quasi boyfriend for a month and a half or however long that was. That didn't last long. But still, it's just like, just own up and just say how you feel. You have the girl in your house, just say you don't like her. And it doesn't have to come out of jealousy. It doesn't have to come out of resentment because her and Kristen are having a deep bond with each other. Just admit that you don't like the girl. And then you bring in Lala to do the dirt work. Like, Lala hasn't done that enough already for the whole season. Lala has to fight Janet's battles, Brittany's battles, Michelle's battles. But where is the Lala Kent story this season outside of her 7-year sobriety journey? What was it? Her flirting with Schwartz? Her contemplating banging some random dude, some random pool guy at her daughter's birthday party? What is the Lala Kent story this season outside of her defaming and dragging down Nia and Danny's character? By the way, you're trying to make ground with Nia, right? You're trying to get a better page. Why does this topic need to be broached at Brittany's house for this Halloween party? You know why? It's the season finale. We need to self-produce. It's the theme. I was very disappointed in this episode of The Valley, in this season finale. I was really looking forward to it. I was expecting drama. Of course, it's the season finale. You want the arguments. You want things like that. But it got to a point, as I was watching it on Wednesday night, where I just felt like it validated everything that I have expressed in these reviews. And I'm excited for the reunion. I really am. But this whole season of The Valley has been a rehash of last season's reunion. And I don't want that to happen again when we get to season 4. I just don't. I really don't. I want to address a couple other things before we get to the Valley After Show, the clip that I usually share here on the podcast. You usually get to hear from the cast. It's a fun feature that we like to do here on the SUR Files, where you get audio from the cast itself to hear their thoughts on certain matters of the whole situation. 3 things. Kristen and Luke. I'm going to say it like I said last week. There's a time and a place to say things. They're having a conversation in their kitchen after that couples therapy session. And Luke is just doubling down about, the comment that he made towards Kristen last week about, okay, let's remove pregnant Kristen and her attitude and the way she was handling things. Like, there's a time and a place to say things, my man, and that was not the time to say that. And I don't know, that conversation did not paint Luke in a good eye at all. I will just say that and throw that out of the way. By the way, I think it's crazy that Luke is only 3 years older than me. It's wild. The second part that I wanted to mention here was Jesse and Lacey. They went to have this checkup at the doctor's place where Lacey's contemplating freezing her eggs down the road just in case they are together and they want to get to the point where they want to start forming their own family. Now, Lacey does struggle with a lot of like medical issues. Like she's on a endometriosis journey, and she has this eternal like struggles and a battle that she's been dealing with for many years. Endometriosis is a bad disease, and I hope that she could find a remedy for that or how they can reduce that. I don't know what the long-term effects of endometriosis is, but it's dangerous. That you're talking about your reproductive area, and if it gets to the point where Lacey and Jesse want kids and stuff like that. We'll see how it goes in due time, obviously, but she's being productive and she has a productive conversation about how to go about this whole situation. And they had the checkup. I thought Jesse had some funny one-liners about, having a hockey player as a kid and stuff like that. That stuff cracked me up. And then the other part of it with Jesse was, so earlier in the show, they had this nice like little get together with Michelle and her friend Natalie. You guys saw her earlier this season. She was trying to hook her up with Schwartz when Lala, Schwartz, and Michelle had that like pact of being singles, basically. So they're at Michelle's house, and Michelle's saying that things are starting to pick up for her for security with her renting job and being a realtor, and that things are picking up for her, and like she has these lofty goals that she wants to hit next year and stuff like that. I think it's cool, and I've said this before, I wanted to hear more about Michelle's experience of being a realtor on this show and things like that. I want to hear that. I think that's great. However, she mentions to Natalie that she's been dating a comedian for 3 months, and it's already been introduced to Isabella. And this comes into a trigger for Jesse because he was trying to console Isabella after the fallout with Michelle and Aaron. For whatever reason, Aaron decided that he didn't want to continue things forward with Michelle. So you had a relationship that you thought was going to go well. You move into the guy's place. He breaks up with you. And you got divorced. I feel bad in certain extents towards Michelle. Like I had to call spade a spade on these shows again. Everything I say in here is not my ultimate feelings about them on a human level. This is not personal. I'm not trying to make things personal with anybody in these casts. I think, again, another thing like Michelle, I think she'd be a great person to hang out with. I think she's cool. But to her fault, she comes off very standoffish and very two-faced in situations, especially when she's dealing with conflict. And, it's one thing to flaunt Aaron and Jesse's face, but the moment Jesse tries to ask a question from a father's point of view, she's saying that Jesse is trying to make things about himself instead of, letting her do what she wants. They're divorced, so his opinion on who she dating really shouldn't matter anymore. Well, when you're introducing guys to a kid that doesn't know much and, could be attached quickly, it's just not good. It's not a good sign. How many times is Jesse going to have to console Isabella for, guys going in and out of relationships with Michelle? That's just not a good look. And the comments that they made about Lacey and Jesse supposedly breaking up every other week, like her and Janet were talking shit about both Jesse and Lacey on the after show, and even stuff like that did not sit well with me. I don't condone that stuff. I don't condone that type of behavior, and I just don't condone it. So that also did not sit well with me. Before we give my final thoughts and talk about plugs and everything, I wanted to play this clip from the Valley after show where you guys can hear from the cast itself. I have to mention this as a teaser so you get my following thoughts after this clip is over. There was this rumor going around in BravoCon that one of the big things that stood out from filming the finale, this episode that we saw, was that somebody got into a bad argument and a bad fight with somebody, and basically somebody threw a drink at somebody. Now, initially, the rumors were going around saying that the person that drew the drink was somebody that didn't have the letter J attached to it. Well, we found out on this episode that was a bunch of bullshit because Janet drew a drink at Daniel while her and Lala were ambushing the fucking guy. So, isn't that assault or battery, Mr. Caperna? By the way, it's a bad look for Janet where she tries to double down on her actions on the episode by, screenshotting the Google ID definition of assault and battery. If the whole issue with you with towards Daniel is about alcohol and how you act when it comes to alcohol, and then you throw whatever was in that red Solo cup in Danny's face and his outfit like that, it's just not a good look, man. It's just not. But I'll talk more about it once you guys hear this clip. This is the Valley After Show, where they're addressing a lot of these big topics from the season 3 finale. So let's play that right now.
Apparently, you're throwing me under the bus a lot.
Coming up on the Valley After Show.
You've actually been secretly dating the comedian.
He's my client.
You've introduced him to Isabel.
And guess what? They're not dating anymore either.
He wants me in a bubble with my daughter and no one else around.
Brittany, I believe her.
You believe her over me and Lala together?
Yes.
I'm gonna cry.
You know what? Get emotional about it because the way you treat people is not working.
I don't think we're in a place to make embryos.
That's the only conversation we've had.
No conversations about marriage or...
Lacey and Jesse have broken up a couple times every other weekend.
The Valley After Show starts right now.
I heard you said, what are you going to do with your bum leg?
What are you going to do about it with your bum leg?
Oh, really? I didn't know it got escalated to that point.
Excuse me, am I talking to you right now?
Put your finger away, dude.
Am I talking to you right now?
Danny, put your finger away.
What are you going to do with your bum leg?
In full vampire costume, he was saying this?
I had my teeth in still.
And Janet took that as apparently worse than anything she's done.
Exactly.
They just threw drinks in my face.
No, they didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're
No.
covered.
Oh, yeah.
Who did?
No, who?
Janet.
I was so angry at her. Danny was serving himself on a fucking silver platter. And in a matter of seconds, it was like, forget about him. Why the would you do that?
I love a good drink throw. I'm from Jersey.
Prostitution whore! You are f***ing engaged 19 times? You stupid bitch!
Let's do that all day.
No, I love it too.
But her throw the drink.
Her. No,
because she's that person who could throw a drink.
Let's
it
say
makes sense to Zach throw a drink.
Exactly.
Janet
at each other, we would have no issues. We'd be like, oh, damn.
I mean, the whole season, it was like I had her posse and other people are like, she knows she needs to apologize. She's going to apologize. And I was like, Great, man, set it up, whatever. They never did. Cut to this, and she just continues to double down and continue to lie, continue to create things. And unfortunately for her, it just continues to backfire on her.
Still to this day, right now, I don't give a what he said. That was not okay for her to do.
I could sit here and like lie and say like I shouldn't have done that and whatever. I regret that I wasn't drinking red wine, and I regret that Brittany put together such a nice party and invited us into her home, and that I may have gotten wine on her patio. You know what? Danny around and found out. Don't stick your fingers in my face. You come for Jason, you come for me.
Janet is her own worst enemy.
No, let me correct you. I can be my own worst enemy. I can stand in my own way of things. Zack can sometimes be his own worst enemy. Janet is diabolical. But continue.
Janet will get into her head and allow herself to crash out, and there's no pulling her out of it. She has to kind of just tucker herself out.
I mean, we have so many like one-on-one conversations with her where she makes so much sense, you know?
But there are times where like I wanted to shake her. To be like, that was the move we chose to make?
I understand how she feels, because when I felt like I was being attacked by Jesse and calling me names, I had wine in my hand and I threw it on him.
Oh yeah, you threw a drink too. I forgot about that.
You're the only lying, cheating whore that I know.
And thinking.
Or did you not cheat?
And it was just like I was the crazy one because I threw the wine, but nobody really took a step back. And it's like I was going through a divorce, my mom was dying, and you decided to call me a hooker. Like that wasn't what was the headline. It was more about like, oh, I'm crazy. But I get it. It's like emotions. You're frustrated. You got the wine in your hand, and it is what it is. But if I could go back, I would have not thrown that wine and just let it be.
That's a good point.
I asked Zack, like, are you really going to believe, like, Kristen and Nia over me? And he immediately is like, yes.
Oh, 100%.
You literally said that it was Nia. That was...
Nope.
Brittany, I believe her.
Thank you.
You believe her over me and Lala together?
Yes. Sorry.
Zack and I have years of friendship. We've known each other for like almost 10 years before he ever even moved to LA. So then to not even like question, oh, maybe Brittany's telling the truth about this. Yeah, that hurts.
Well, because she's friends with Janet, so that's exactly what I would tell her. I get it. Y'all go back to Kentucky, but like you're friends with the enemy, so of course he's gonna say that.
I just feel like Brittany doesn't see what I see about Janet, which I feel like most people see about her. Like, I don't know. But I think that's what puts more of a strain on our relationship right now, and it just is what it is.
I think that he felt like he wasn't seen by me, maybe, whenever him and Janet had this huge falling out.
She's got Crocker boots right next to her, being like, you're the best.
She's literally like 8 months pregnant right now.
I don't care.
I think he still like had some kind of like anger towards me about that, and I think it's just grown because I'm still super close to her, super close to him. He thinks I'm choosing her side all the time, but that's not what it is. And I think he wanted me to blindly take his side, because he does that. But I think it kind of hurt his feelings that I wasn't like that.
I mean, it has been a little bit rockier, and she needs to see some things differently than the way she's seen them.
Excuse me. Oh my God.
A visceral reaction?
Sorry. Just get over.
After that night at my Halloween party, we never really have talked about it since. And then we go to BravoCon, and Danny Pellegrino brings up that I, take up for Janet or whatever.
Were there times after the reunion that you felt like she had Janet's back more than you?
I mean, I still feel like that sometimes, but, y'all make mistakes.
I was like, okay. And we never talked about that either. My feelings are hurt, for sure. And I think whenever I finally get to watch these episodes, I think I'm going to be really hurt. I'm going to cry. Because he's been my friend for so long. And he's like ride or die.
I am ride or die, and I'm not dead yet, so we're good. But I'm just standing my ground for once.
Brittany and Zack are their family.
Yeah, it's
nothing
not
can
gonna
break
go
them.
anywhere.
It sucks not seeing you guys get on the same page on it.
But also, I'm sorry, you know what? Get emotional about it. Because here's the thing. The way you treat people is not working. You blanket give your love out.
I see the best in people, and sometimes that could be my flaw, I guess.
That's not a flaw, Brittany.
Yeah, but I don't want to change that about myself.
It's easier to make amends with you because you let things go. Whereas I don't know that Kristen and Nia are as quick to forgive. That's why I think that you're the one that has to kind of just eat it each time.
Yeah, but I have, like, trained myself unknowingly to accept that from people. And it just breaks my heart because he never did that to me before. So, makes me sad.
Michelle was going throughout the entire fall saying she was living in this like new single girl era, whatever. And I had gotten some information similar to the little crumbs that I put together last year.
I remember going to Whole Foods and I say, hey, I can't find the honey. She goes, I get it at a place near Runyon. Where is his house?
A place near Runyon.
She had been dating somebody the entire time while telling everybody she was single.
It's come to my attention that for the last 3 months, you've actually been secretly dating the comedian.
He's my client.
I've also been told that you've introduced him to Isabella. And you were so...
Oh my God, don't do this. What irritates me is even before the party, we were together for hours for Isabella trick-or-treating, and he didn't say a single thing.
It's like he likes embarrassing you in front of the group instead of having real conversations.
He just wants to
with you in
shame
private.
me. It's like, how can I put her down? How can I hurt her? How can I ruin her image?
At the end of the day, I don't care about any of it. She can date whoever she wants, do whatever she wants. I'll take Isabella any weekend she asks me to. I don't care if you're going for a holiday in Vegas. The fact that 3 months into a relationship, she introduced this guy to Isabella after the collateral damage that I had to deal with the Aaron fallout.
Right.
I get criticized so much about this, and people don't understand that I was with Aaron for over a year, and I had my own place, and it wasn't just a stupid decision. Like, I'm not
very
reckless.
thoughtful.
Like, I think about everything. I overthink about my daughter, and I thought I was moving in and we were gonna stay together. I didn't have any intention of breaking up. So it's like, yeah, things happen. I can't force a man to wanna be with me. So if we broke up, we broke up, and it is what it is. It's part of life, and I handled it correctly with Isabella, and she was fine. Of course, she was sad, but she was
sad
fine
for
after.
2 days.
Yeah.
I had to deal with a girl underneath the fucking covers in her bed in my house when it's her mother's night. Her mother had to drive Isabella to my house to deal with the breakup, and now she's introducing the little girl to another fucking man. And guess what? They're not dating anymore either.
Isabella, if she met him, it was at an open house or something, right?
I
you
did a showing.
But you didn't introduce, you weren't like, this is my boyfriend.
Correct.
If you ask Isabella, like, she has no idea that they were anything. She's like, this is one of my mom's clients, and he has a nice house that she's selling or viewing.
He's just like, a man shouldn't really be around her. And I'm like, you know what? I have a nanny, like, very rarely. I basically do everything on my own, and sometimes I get last-minute showings and stuff like that, and she's gonna be at my showings just like you do. It's like he wants me in a bubble with my daughter and, like, no one else around. And I think part of it is the control aspect, because he does try to control me, even today. I just don't allow it anymore. No matter what, I feel like he's always going to have some sort of level of hate for me because I left him, even though I told him I was going to leave him, and he'll never get past it and never just want to be like a good person or a nice guy to me.
It's always about Jesse being the bad guy, right? Well, he's only being mad at me because I told him that I was already going to be leaving him. Well, you only were having the confidence enough to tell him that you were leaving the guy because you were cheating on him while you guys were married. So I'm sorry, Michelle, you're not getting any sympathy from me for that. So that is the clip from the Valley After Show, giving their thoughts about this drama from this Halloween party at Brittany's house. A lot of interesting conversations there. And going back to this whole thing about the Janet throwing a drink at Danny, like, all this stuff that you went after him this season, I'm not gonna say it completely erases everything with her throwing a drink back at him the way she did and how she's doubling down like that in the after show. I don't think that's gonna take away from my viewing of how things went this season. I know that Daniel conducted himself in a jackassian manner, and my bigger issue was the way he was speaking to his wife and the just bad form of communication in general with his wife. Like, that not sit well with me at all. You don't speak to women like that. I don't care if you're sober, drunk, or God knows what. You do not speak to women like that. So I don't condone Daniel's behavior. I know I've said that, you know, there comes a point where people get pushed to their limits from a human being level where you feel like your character is being assassinated. You know, if Danny wanted to be petty or whatever, he could have sent a cease and desist. He could have been, you know, suing Janet if he wanted to for defamation. He could, because you're labeling somebody a sexual assault, a sexual abuser, and a sexual assault artist on worldwide television, and you think you just get away with that scot-free. That stuff's not cool, and it should not be tolerated. So Janet did herself no favors on this episode. I felt so bad because I've been giving her the benefit of the doubt, and again, I think Janet on the whole is a good person, but Lala said it herself. I think Janet is her worst enemy, and it's a damn shame because I think Janet's a good person, but she cannot handle conflict in a proper manner within herself. She carries a lot of pride and holds a lot of stubbornness within herself, where she can't forgive herself for people that do her wrong, or feel she can't have the ability to forgive herself even if she feels like she's not in the wrong in a situation. Like, she has to continue egging on an issue that has been talked about to death, apologized for, yada yada yada. Can you picture if Tom Sandoval was on the Valley all the way from season 1 to where we are now? I bet you any money that Janet would be having the same energy towards Danny the same way she would be having the energy towards Tom Sandoval and talk about Sandoval the entire time. Because as Kristen said, she's a fan. I'm kidding. I don't want to be rude today. But on that note, I'm very disappointed in how things turned out for this finale. Not that it was bad or anything, or I felt like it was boring. I'm disappointed in the way things were handled from a human level. Like Lala trying to make ground with Nia, yet you're still going on the attack towards Daniel, and then bringing up this whole guilt-tripping accusation drama in Brittany's kitchen. That's just not a good look. And there's a time and place for things, but Lala and Janet and the rest of that Mean Girls club struggle with self-awareness and struggle with reading the room. And that could have been more further display on this season finale of The Valley for season 3, titled The Valley of the Damned. And on that note, I'm going to say adios for now. Don't fret, be on the lookout for this channel over the weekend or the next couple days. I'm going to give you my initial thoughts on House of Stassi on our YouTube channel. I think our House of Stassi videos and stuff will be exclusive on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that at the SUR Files. Make sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button anywhere you get your podcasts from. The home of the SUR Files is Odyssey, so check out the SUR Files on there. Make sure to follow us on TikTok at SUR Files, SUR Files, and keep me up on X at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. And remember, folks, Be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 20 of the SUR Files. And remember, folks, whatever happens on the valley doesn't stay in the valley, but it does one way or another find its way onto the SUR Files. Talk to y'all next week. Love y'all, man. Peace.